I didn't realize how quiet a room could get until my father chose his moment. It wasn't anger. That would have made sense. It was measured, almost polite. We were halfway through dinner. Plate still half full. My mother was asking something about the neighbor's son, and then my father set his fork down, wiped his mouth carefully, and said, "You've become a burden. It's time you find somewhere else to live." No one reacted immediately, not even me. I remember noticing small things instead. The ticking clock behind him, the way my sister kept chewing like she hadn't heard. My mother's eyes flickered once, then dropped to her plate. I nodded, not in agreement, just acknowledgement, like someone confirming they'd heard instructions. "Okay," I said. That was all. The conversation didn't recover. It didn't collapse either. It just thinned out until everyone finished eating in fragments of silence. That night, I didn't sleep much. Not because I was upset. That would have been easier to understand. It was more like something finally aligned. I lay there thinking about numbers. Electricity bills paid quietly before due dates. Rent transfers done without reminders. Groceries I'd started covering when things got tight and somehow never stopped covering. Repairs, subscriptions, small emergencies. Things that were never discussed, just expected. Not once had anyone called it support. By morning, the decision didn't feel emotional anymore. It felt administrative. I packed slowly, not everything, just what was mine. Clothes, documents, a few things I actually cared about. The rest stayed where it had always been, blending into a house that suddenly didn't feel like it required my presence. Around noon, my father walked past my room and stopped. "You're serious?" he asked. I zipped the bag. Yeah. He leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. "You don't have to rush out like this. We can figure out a timeline." I looked at him then, really looked. "That won't be necessary." Something in my tone must have shifted because he straightened slightly. "What does that mean?" "I've already arranged a place," I said. A pause. "Then evenly also I've canceled the automatic payments." He frowned. "What payments?" "For the house," I said. "Utilities." "Internet." "Rent transfers?" For a second, nothing landed. Then it did. "That's not funny," he said, but there was no humor in his voice to begin with. I wasn't joking. "You can't just..." He stopped himself, recalibrating. "Those are responsibilities." They were. I said, "They're not anymore." My mother appeared behind him, drawn in by the shift in tone. "What's going on?" He didn't answer her. He was still looking at me, but not the same way as before. Something tighter had replaced the certainty. "You're overreacting," he said. "This isn't how adults handle things." I picked up my bag. "This is exactly how I'm handling it." The conversation didn't escalate. It didn't need to. The silence that followed was heavier than anything louder could have achieved. I left before it turned into negotiation. By the time I reached the end of the street, my phone buzzed. First a message from my father, then a missed call, then another. I didn't check them. An hour later, there was a voicemail from an unknown number. The landlord. His tone was neutral, professional. He wasn't accusing anyone of anything, just confirming details. Payments had stopped. He needed clarification on who would be responsible going forward. I imagined that moment inside the house. Not dramatic, not explosive. Just the slow realization that something structural had been removed. By evening, there were more messages. My mother's were softer, asking where I was, saying we should talk. My father's shifted in stages. Confusion first, then irritation, then something closer to urgency, though he never named it directly. I didn't respond right away. Not out of spite. Just because I didn't feel the need to fill the space anymore. The apartment I'd found was small, quiet, the kind of place where every object had a purpose and none of it was inherited expectation. I sat on the floor the first night, back against the wall, phone in my hand. There was no sense of victory, just a steady, unfamiliar calm. For the first time in a long while, nothing around me depended on whether I stayed or left. Nothing blurred the line between being present and being useful. I checked the messages once, read them without reacting, then set the phone down. Whatever needed to be understood back there would take time. or it wouldn't. Either way, it no longer required me to stay and explain it.